Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Thank you for joining in on another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for March 13th. Man, we are almost halfway through the month, and again, we are going to talk about some of the coolest, most notable errors and varieties that have come straight from your change. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The cool part is that a lot of these coins found by regular Joe Schmoes like you and I, we just go ahead and throw them up on eBay, make some money in the process, all for just looking through your change. But wait, there's more. Maybe it's not just about looking through your change, but maybe you're an avid coin roll hunter. You want to be able to supplement the value of finding silver in those half-dollar boxes. Am I right? So finding some of these notable errors and varieties are certainly another way to kind of compound the fun factor when it comes to searching through coin rolls from the bank. And another thing, people love cherry picking coin shows and coin dealers. They do miss stuff. All right, just because they're a coin dealer doesn't mean that they look at 100% of every single coin that comes across their counter. Okay, so that's also another relevant thing to consider. All the coins on this channel are the same raw images direct from the sellers. Okay, that's important. Number two, all of the coins are uncertified raw. All right, so nothing talked about is graded from like PCGS or NGC. At the end of the day, why spend the extra money to grade out maybe a $10, $20 coin when, it's still going to be a $10 to $20 coin even after certification. All right, that doesn't quite make sense. So we're going to take a look kind of like that sweet spot of various coins in a certain specific dollar value. I would say anywhere from $5 up to as high as $100, $200 that is just worth flipping immediately. You don't have to worry about, sending something off to a grader, having to wait a month or two, depending on what service you use. It's important to know exactly, what is exactly profitable to you, all right, without much effort. All right, so we're going to talk about that. In addition, the market is really, really just incredibly hot still. You'd figure, that we'd see some slowdown, but since, there's a certain stimulus bill that was passed, that's going to just be, to a lot of people, this is just going to be more extra money hitting the market. How is that going to affect coins? That's going to be pretty interesting. We'll kind of take a look and monitor and see how that goes. Even for menial things as like regular errors and varieties that sell in that $5 to $100 range, could be affected. All right. I would say about 12 months ago, we've seen a huge market shift in just some of the more minor errors and varieties. Coins that were once 50 cents to $1 are now all of a sudden selling for $5 to $10. I mean, where's the sense in that? Or maybe these coins were just depressed in value all this time, and this is kind of like a market correction going to what the appropriate level is for the sales of these coins. All right, so we have sales from the last 24 to about 48 hours. All recent sales, all raw images, every single price value that I'm going to tell you also includes shipping. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that. And without further ado, how about we go ahead and jump into the first one? I always like to start it kind of like a coin that'll just, knock your socks off. Okay. And I love starting these episodes with an off-center struck type coin. Okay. We have one right here. It's a 1999 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Kind of hard to say if it's a Philadelphia or Denver because obviously the mint mark is missing from this error. But this here, really nice high-grade example, sold for $17.98. Again, some of the key factors when it comes to off-center struck coins, if it has a full date, maybe not necessarily a mint mark, those are always more coveted in the marketplace. So keep that in mind. If you're looking to buy these, try and find some with a full date because, those are going to be the coins that later on down the line, you'll have a much easier time of flipping or selling when you're ready to get out of the hobby. Okay, so we have another Lincoln Memorial set. There were actually a number of these being sold by the same seller. So they're all kind of like relatively close in date. You know, I think there was a 2000, 2001, which is the one you see here. There might have been like a 99 or a 2002 mixed in there as well. Altogether, there was about 8 or 9 separate auctions that ended. This is one of them, and I think this is kind of like one of the more visually appealing broad stroke coins. As you can tell, the coin looks and appears a little bit bigger than a normal Lincoln cent. That's because when this thing was struck, there was no collar to hold the coin in, so that metal flow had to go outwards. You could easily see it on the reverse, kind of like this cupping design right here. But you could just see the extra amount of space between the motto "In God We Trust" and the actual rim. Okay, that's usually not typical of any other regular struck coin. So this one right here sold for $8.70. You know, and they do pop up on occasion out there. All right, some that look like this, some that are a little bit more major, maybe a little bit more minor. Some of them maybe broad struck off center. They're all out there. All right, and they could appear in any condition, and they're all worth pulling out of change. All right, so I would say one of the favorite kind of like pastimes when it comes to coin collecting is buying up and obtaining just inexpensive bulk bags of foreign coins, okay? Foreign coins have always kind of been the hidden treasure bag of numismatics. It's a love it or hate it thing. People hate the idea of buying them because it's like, ugh, well, once I go through them, what do I do with the rest? You know, it's kind of hard to move because literally the pricing on bulk foreign coins is literally by the pound. It's not per each, it's by the pound. You know, you can buy like a 10-pound bag for $5 and call it good. However, I've always been kind of this advocate of foreign coin errors and varieties because there is so much of it out there. The big reason why is some of those international mints, okay, weren't as on cue with their quality assessment of the coins. So you had a lot of things like, for example, this 1980 Mexico 20 peso coin right here that just seemingly, oh yeah, we'll just, you know, throw it out in circulation. It doesn't even matter. But the coin obviously is off-struck by about 10%. You know, to a hobby purist like me, I enjoy finding stuff like this, and so do other people, and people will actually pay for errors of coins like this. I've found in terms of foreign coin mixture that anything Central or Southern America, highly desired in terms of errors and varieties. There's a lot of double dies, there's a lot of these errors, there's a lot of cuds, there's a lot of off metal struck coins, you name it. So for something like this that was probably found in just a modern mixture of foreign stuff, sold for $23.25. So there is a secondary market for these. I would say it's picked up here in the last 6 to 8 months as coins in general just, you know, continue to heat up. All right, people want stuff like this. All right, so if it wasn't for old buddy Adam Chambers, who is a friend of the channel, and he is also a guest speaker on our live coin Q&A channel on YouTube. Maybe you guys have seen it on Monday nights. He is an expert at finding what they call Bugs Bunny Die Clash Franklin half dollars. All right, so without getting too close, man, you could actually see the clash right here on Franklin's mouth. You know, it's affectionately referred to as Bugs Bunny because it looks like it has big old buck teeth. This one, honestly, looks like it has vampire fangs. I mean, it's crazy. But where this comes from is that this is a clash from the eagle on the reverse, the feathers that you see here on this little mini eagle. And that's translated on the obverse die and struck onto the coin to give the appearance of a die clash coming off the mouth of Ben Franklin. 1955... Bugs Bunny is probably one of the more common, more widely available Bugs Bunnies on the in the hobby or in the market. This one right here is sold for $32.95. It's a nice mid-state, kind of like 63, 64 level type coin. But as you can see, this is a coin that probably you could have picked up between $5 and $10 if you've cherry-picked the Bugs Bunny off of there. Turn around, 3 to 4x your money. I mean, that's not a bad proposition right there. All right, so you guys know my affinity for bicentennial quarters, okay? The drummer boy quarters with any sort of mint error, it could be major or minor, are being recognized as being a very hot commodity. People want various different types of errors of this one-shot, pre-statehood quarter, commemorative quarter that we've all endeared to, during those slow times of the 80s and 90s. So this one right here has a pretty nice rim clip on there. You got a little bit of a Blakesley effect, okay, where you see this flattening on the rim on both the obverse and the reverse right here. This right here, as minor and as, kind of innocent as it looks, did sell for $32. All right, so that is kind of like the opportunity cost of finding a error on one of these quarters. Okay, and here's the second one here. I believe this was sold by a different seller. This one is a Denver Mint, however. Nice sized curved clip here. You got your Blakesley effect where you see this weakening on the obverse and the reverse of the coin. This particular example sold for $16. All right, so if you're like me and you like to cherry pick just about anything, all right, then this one might come off as kind of something that you can identify with. It's an 1897 Indian head cent. The coin at first glance doesn't look fantastic. I'll be honest with you. It's got some corrosion issues. You can see it all gummed up here in the date. You can see on the reverse. The coin might have been cleaned at one point to eliminate some of that. You got carbon spotting right here. I mean, the coin is no beauty, that's for sure. But people still, would endear and love something like this because it has a notable variety. All right, if you can see this little tonsil thing sticking out here, this is actually the one in neck variety of Indian head cent. It only shows up in the 1897. Okay, so what this is it's called a misplaced date. So you actually have a mispunched one that was overlapped onto the design details of this neck area. So the only thing that is identifiable is going to be the top kind of like what they call flag of the one right here. And that sticks out pretty profusely. On much higher graded examples, it's even more apparent. But even a coin cherry picked, maybe for $1 or less from dealer stock, I would say is a great pickup. All right, to give you an idea, this one sold for $41.99. Me personally, it's low enough grade and a details grade that I probably wouldn't care about keeping it in my collection. I would just go ahead and cash it out and make a few bucks in the process. Alright guys, the next coin on the list is actually an American Samoa quarter. This is a 2020 quarter. And yeah, these things continue to amaze. I mean, this one doesn't have the crazy feeder finger lines or the strike through on the reverse of the quarter. And by the way, I love this design. In spite of what some other folks have thought about it, I think it's cute. And it's very well done. But again, these coins continue to amaze. On this one actually has a pretty nice sized die chip. In terms of the error world, this is seen as probably more of a minor occurrence on these coins. But again, something like this, if you don't pull it out and you don't see it, then you might miss out. To give you an idea, this one did sell for $6.50. While it's not an incredibly high-priced coin, if you did find, say, a nice batch of them all minted from the same set of dies, then, you could, take those coins, sell them for $5-6 a piece, and then sell like 10 of them. And then there you go. That's like $50. So it all adds up, but this is a really cool kind of like minor error that usually isn't worth a whole lot back in the day, but now people are actually recognizing it. They're collecting it by progression and size of chip and that sort of thing. But that's really cool. I like seeing things like this because it also means that there is a budget for all when it comes to numismatics. All right, so this one's really cool. It's the 2006 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one appears off center, and it kind of is. It's a little bit off center, maybe by about 5-7%. But this one also exhibits a partial tilted collar. All right, so the collar was not quite seated, full onto the coin upon the strike of the coin, so it's a little bit tilted. So you're going to get the overlap of the collar intruding onto the actual edge of the coin. So it kind of looks like a railroad rim, and that's kind of like the terminology of such a thing. This one right here is sold for $21.75. All right, so the next three coins I am really proud to talk about. They're all from the same seller, but this, again, gives you an idea of what is out there to be found. We have a 1985 Lincoln Memorial Cent that exhibits a big old gob here at the bottom. And what that is it's actually a die break. When it's on the rim and it goes into a design device, it is referred to as a cud. All right, that's kind of like the short term for it. But this one right here, people collect cuds. They're actually one of the most coveted. They're one of the most priciest errors to get as a raw coin. This one here is sold for $35. All right, as small and minor as this may be, cud collecting today is extremely popular. It seems to me there's a lot more people getting into it, and they're collecting these not only by attribution but also progression as well. Now here's the highlight coin of the video, and the big reason why is it appears that this one has two separate cuds, which is kind of unheard of. For modern U.S. coins, usually you see them in some of the earlier stuff from like Indian head cents and those type of series, shield nickels. So this one right here, really tough to find. I mean, it's hard to say if these actually connect right here. If that were the case, then it would be attributed as just one cud. But this one does look like a double. I didn't check Cuds on Coins' website to see if this was indeed on there. It might be, but it's 1983. It's a Zinken. It even has a little bit of clashing here in the bays of the Lincoln Memorial, which at that point, it's a little bit of a minor detail. This one here is sold for $78.50. Two mini cuds that occur on one coin, again, extremely rare. And here's another 83. This one, again, has another single cud, like you see right here. Again, from the same seller. This one also is suffering from these zinc plating bubbles, which, that means there's contaminants before the plating occurred onto the zinc. So this one is kind of slowly rotting away. It won't rot away, unless you throw it into, a can of soda or something like that. But again, pretty cool. Nice little error. Sold for $41.50. Really crazy money. $150 between all three coins. Another broad strike, this time on a Jefferson nickel. This one is a 1995P. And a broad struck nickel will generally size up to about a quarter size, circumference-wise. This one right here, nice high-end example. The broad strike is nice and centered. People love that. This one sold for $14. All right, so we got another brand new coin to talk about, this time a 2020 D Kennedy half dollar. I know we're in 2021. However, this one right here is a really, really cool looking coin on a really new coin. Okay, that means that mint errors still occur to this day. Technology is higher. You'd figure the quality control is going to be a lot better. This coin proves otherwise. This one right here with the strike through that you see right here, all plastered on not only the obverse, but you can see it on the reverse as well. Probably some grease, some residual grease on the die. Sold for $13.30. Who would have thought? Okay, another quarter. This time a Voyagers 2018 Philadelphia National Park coin. This one right here has that really cool loon on the back. But the only problem with the Voyagers quarter is that there are no known errors and varieties on the coin, as far as I know. But This one right here, if you look on the obverse, has a really nice thin rim cut right over there next to the mint mark. And man, that thing is pretty pronounced. So that was a really nice catch from this seller, just finding this in change. I'm happy to say that this one sold for $17.25, where most people would just throw it back. I mean, just on appearance alone, this coin has circulated a great deal. So it's not a high-end example either, but the error really drove home the price on this one. Here's another Jefferson nickel, a 1989p, this time with a curved clip. Nothing super fancy, but it's a clip, and it does have that Blakesley effect that we look for. This one sold for $8.50. And by the way, it's a nice circulated example. Speaking of circulated, here's a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent, okay? And before I get into too much detail about the coin, I wanted to mention that I've had a number of folks that have commented on previous pocket change market reports where I've talked about things like off-center struck coins that are like, 10, 20% off-center, and, they've said, well, you just can't find coins like this. Take a look at this coin right here. See how circulated it is? It's got gunk on there. It's got carbon spotting. I mean, this thing right here is not mint state, all right? And we've come across quite a few coins on the list and in all previous pocket change market report lists where we've seen copious amounts of circulation wear on these off-center coins, all right? These are out there. I found them, okay? If you're not finding them, or you're not trying to, you're not working hard enough, you're not buying enough coins. Again, having the ability to find a lot of these coins, ladies and gentlemen, is truly in the frequency in which you do it. If you do it once per month, then you're going to get a once per month amount of return from it. If you do it every single day and you buy $500 worth of coin and you just continuously recycle that money, you're going to have a much better odds of not only finding silver, but you're going to find varieties, you're going to find errors. Case in point, 2000p Lincoln Memorial cent, that's about 15% off center, sold for $21.75. I'm telling you, people are making a living going through change. It's a real thing. Here's an 1893 Indian head cent. It's kind of strange we talk about Indian head cents, period. It's even stranger that we highlight 2 Indian head cents on the list. Now, I will say, this coin appears to be cleaned. It's got some corrosion issues here on the reverse. However, there's a few things going for this, okay? Now, the seller mentioned that this has a misplaced date, all right? I'm going to debunk that here in a moment. But, however, it's got some really nice, strong die clashing. Okay, you can actually see the O in 1 right here on the obverse. So that clashing is evident on there. You can see the clashing of the Indian's profile right here as well. I would say that's the big thing that have driven the value of this coin. Now, up close, the seller provided this image right here, and I guess they were alluding to this right here as being a possible misplaced numeral of the date, maybe like the top of the 8. However, this is a well-placed hit. I could tell right away that that's a hit, an indention, and that's not a misplaced date. So aside from that, I mean, all the good stuff is still there. It sold for $29.15. It was a coin probably that was picked up between 80 cents and $1. Nice little flip. All right, so here's a coin that has passed through many hands without even being looked at twice. It's a 1964D Lincoln Memorial cent. This one has a tiny little lamination peel on the reverse, and they cleverly used a little piece of paper to show that to you. Now, a little word of caution: you don't want to break this lamination tab. Okay, if you keep it on there. And this is fine. You could do stuff like this to kind of display and show the notable nature of the lamination. But you want to keep that on there. That's important. This one sold for $5.99. You know, I mean, that's 599 times face value. You know, it's crazy. It's a little bit of money, but it all adds up. All right, so we're getting into the really juicy, spicy stuff this week, and I cannot believe that these coins are not certified or graded. We have a 1985 P Jefferson nickel that's double struck. All right, so the secondary strike is roughly about 65-70% off center from the regular strike. Okay, what I like most about this is number one, it's raw. And nobody graded this, but I have a feeling in the near future, this thing is going to be in a PCGS slab. Or maybe you might have another collector that doesn't do that sort of thing. The cool part is, and something that you don't see that often, you have two dates on there. Usually this date is, missing because the double strikes in this area, or the secondary strike will not show a date at all. Maybe it might be the top of Jefferson's head. And I've seen them both. But this one has two dates visible on there, and that kind of ratchets up the desirability of such a coin. This one sold for $545.65. The likelihood that you'll ever find one of these and change is really scarce, really low. But if you did find one at a coin dealer and they're only asking $500, this is easily $1,000 coin in a capsule. All right, so we didn't have a currency last week. We're going to talk about a few pieces of currency this week. And someone had mentioned that they wanted to see more newer pieces of currency. I've talked about, Federal Reserve notes from the 60s and 70s and maybe 80s. And they're like, well, those are pretty old. You don't find those out there. How about let's talk about some from today? All right, so this one is the oldest one on the list. It's a 1995 $1 Federal Reserve note. Okay, as you can see on the front of the note, nice, bright, crisp Georgie Washington right on full display. But on the back, we have a beautiful front to back wet ink transfer. All right, so that's what we have here. When these sheets were being printed, okay, they are stacking on top of each other. The ink is still wet. And then you have the transfer of the design onto the back or the revert or the front or whatever that offset is. But we have a full 100% offset. So you have the complete front transferred onto the back here. And that's extremely, extremely desirable. This one sold for $151.49. Here's a 1993 $1 Federal Reserve note. Something is definitely funny about this, but this is a note that has circulated quite a bit. You can just tell it's got folds and wrinkles. It's even got rust marks, probably from a paper clip on here. But yeah, that third print, with the serial numbers and district seals, yeah, it's so far out of misalignment. It's crazy. You have some pretty notable overlappage here of the serial number and the first print design, so that's meaningful. This one here is sold for $178.49. There's a back of the note just showing more circulation wear. All right, and this one's cool. I've talked about this one, and today I see these notes as like really, really minor, but to some people it's really cool, and that's all good. There's no wrong way to collect unless you're, kind of terming and coining errors, and they're really not errors, okay? You're being deceptive about it. However, this $1 right here, keep in mind, brand new, 2017 series. You probably already saw it. It's got a slightly turned digit, so the 7 here in the serial number, the second one is up a little bit. The whole digit's there, so, it is relatively minor, but that's what they call a turn digit. These numbers are actually on a wheel. All right, so the wheels will shift when it's ready to print the next series of notes or the next subject sheet. This one right here, again, really minor, but I'm glad to see that someone was able to find this, and they just threw it up on eBay, and it ended up returning $16.50. And keep in mind, it is a circulated note. You could see some of the curls here on the corners. This one, most notably, you could see a little bit of staining on there as well. Might even have a centerfold right down the middle. And there's the back for you. All right, so I always tell folks, look at every single star note, whether it's circulated or not. Now, this one here looks in pretty nice shape. Again, another 2017. And when I mean look at it, make sure you go on My Currency Collections website and you check the print run of your stars. This one right here is actually a relatively low print run. It's not something like crazy, but this one right here is from a run of only 250,000 notes. So this Minneapolis I-9 star is a tough one. This one right here looks like it was, I mean, it's the centering just blows on this one. But it's a note that was probably pulled out of a brand new strap, and that means a lot. That means a collector will want this, something that's high grade. But get this one sold for $249.20. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. But it did sell for that, so that in turn makes it the going rate for this low print run star. Okay, and then finally, if you guys aren't checking your common date Buffalo nickels, most specifically 1930, because that's the subject coin here to wrap up the PCMR, then you are doing yourself a disservice. Okay, 1930, very common. It is a Philadelphia minted coin, but this one right here is a cherry picker's guide, doubled die reverse, FS802, and you can see the doubling here in the motto E Pluribus Unum. See, you can see the extra U, the bottom left of the L, the P is fantastic. This one right here, usually nobody even thinks about, unless you are a cherry picker's guide or variety homer like I am. You will look for stuff like this every single time. And in addition, the hair that's on the back of the buffalo will be doubled. So you can see the doubling right here in the creases of the fur. That's something also to kind of keep an eye out on for this particular variety. But again, if you went to a coin dealer and they had just a random mix of buffalo nickels, maybe with a full date, but, less than desirable condition. This one, by the way, is probably like that VF25. It does have a full horn. Those coins are generally available for between 50 cents and $1. All right, you could get a lot worse. They might be more expensive, maybe as high as like $5 as I've seen. But if you're able to identify and cherry pick this type of variety, and there are a bunch of them in the Buffalo Nickel series, then you have done really well. This one sold for $354.15. Good way to end it on a huge cherry pick. And that's going to go ahead and do it. Hopefully you got a little bit of inspiration to kick off your Saturday, Sunday weekend action. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit that good old bell for instant notifications. Coinaholics, we are discovering together, and I'm glad to have discovered some cool stuff with you today. You guys take care, happy hunting, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.